Just give us a sense of anticipation. What's happening at the Concord this morning?
At the Concord this morning, we've got Action SA members, the new formation that was formed by former Johannesburg Executive Mayor Raymond. They are here protesting for what they are saying, that the Constitution of the Republic must be obeyed. On the other side, you've got the likes of Carl Niehaus, who comes from the RET grouping within the ANC, and also spokesperson of MKMVA and staunch supporter of the former president. They are here coming to support former President Jacob Zuma as the State Capture Commission of Inquiry moves for punitive measures of the highest order in the form of the former president being in contempt of court, whom they are saying must face an imprisonment term of 2 years. I'm going to bring in Carl Niehaus. Mr. Niehaus, the State Capture Commission of Inquiry wants the man that you support behind bars for 2 years for being in contempt of court. What's your view of the application on an urgent basis to have him incarcerated for 2 years?
Well, this urgent application brought by the Zondo Commission is just a further indication of the prejudice and the targeting of President Zuma. We all know that there is a matter in front of a lower court, the High Court, where President Zuma made an appeal. That appeal has not yet been pronounced on. To rush to this court for the second time by Mr. Justice Zondo just indicates exactly what President Zuma had been saying in terms of him being targeted, in terms of the State Capture Commission having been set up specifically to act against him, as the previous public protector, Advocate Madonsela, herself also acknowledged. So we are here to say, hands off President Zuma, do not undermine President Zuma's constitutional rights, allow the proper process, legal process, to proceed. And it is ridiculous for the Zondo Commission to demand on an urgent basis, as you've said, a 2-year sentence when in terms of the 1947 Commissions Act, no such sentence can be imposed.
Mr. Niehaus, but the former president is in contempt of court. Should he not face those disciplinary measures, and should the Constitutional Court not act with them basically disobeying the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the very same Constitution he says he fought for in the liberation struggle, and particularly going when he was sworn in for the first time in 2009 as the President of the Republic, that he will swore to protect and serve in the oath of office that he swore as the President of the Republic. Is he not disobeying the Constitution of the Republic and the apex court in the land? And what does that say about you and I in future if a former president is disobeying the Constitution?
Well, it's exactly because President Zuma was part of fighting for our democracy and also was part of the writing of our Constitution that he's taking a principled position that his constitutional rights that are being undermined, that he will not accept it. There's absolutely no constitutional crisis. President Zuma has been clear that he will resist this particular process. Therefore, he is also not present here today when this matter is being heard. But he had not said that he will not accept a decision by the court if they want to sentence him. What President Zuma had said is he believes so strongly in the position that he holds in defense of the Constitution, not against the Constitution, that he will even be prepared to serve a sentence in order to make that point.
How is he in defense of the Constitution when he disobeyed the Constitutional Court ruling compelling him to go to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry? Just 2 weeks ago, when the Women's League visited him, he said that he would not be going to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Even though there is a judgment forcing him to go there, he will still not go.
Samkele, President Zuma told us in Umkhonto, he says we're Military Veterans Association, exactly the same what he told the ANC Women's League. And he stated very clearly that he believes that the Constitutional Court had erred in terms of that ruling, that they also took away some of his fundamental rights, including his right to remain silent and not to incriminate himself. Now, I know there are those who tried to argue that President Zuma will be able to go to the Zondo Commission and then explain why he will invoke his right to remain silent. That is ridiculous, because in the process of explaining, he will reveal exactly what he wants not to talk about. And it is also an uneven application of what has been decided by the Zondo Commission before. Comrade Dudu Miheni was allowed to invoke that right without having had to provide explanations. So under the circumstances, President Zuma is given, again, special treatment, but not good treatment, but targeting him by the Zondo Commission, and now also in terms of mistakes that have been made by the Constitutional Court. We cannot treat the Constitutional Court and the judges of the Constitutional Court as sacrosanct. They are human beings who can err like anyone. And when we do not agree with the judgments that they make, we have the right to oppose those and express our criticism to such judgments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Niehaus. As one president tries to not go to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, the former president of the ANC in South Africa, Jacob Zuma, another is going later on in April from the 22nd. That is President Ramaphosa. Now I'm going to bring in Action SA, the newly formed political formation that is led by former executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Raymond. I'm going to bring in Zach. Mr. Zach, why is it important for you as Action SA to come here and protest as citizens of the Republic, calling for the Constitution to be respected?
Today as Action SA, we are sending a clear message to say that we are here to support the Constitutional Court, we are here to support the Constitution of our country, and importantly, we want to send a clear message that as a political party who believes in the rule of law, we want to state a clear message that the constitutional deliberations that are going to come out today are going to play an important role of where our country is heading. And therefore, we are here to stamp our authority to say that as citizens of this country, we are here to support the court outcome.
So you want the former president to be incarcerated for 2 years, which is the punitive measure that the Constitutional Court is calling for, that the State Capture Commission is calling for?
Definitely, because majority of us must be upheld and accountable to the law of court. So therefore, no one is above the law of court, whether you are a head of state of the country, a former head of state of the country.
Do you think he'll obey that order, knowing that he disobeyed the last constitutional judgment order that was compelling him to go to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry?
No, therefore, it means that the current President Ramaphosa must show whether he chooses the ANC or he chooses the country.
Thank you very much. That is Action SA. I'm going to bring in Move 1 Million, which is also a protest. You can see their placard that is written. Can you just ask you to move aside a little bit so that we see your placard, which says, "Corruption must fall, lock them up, move 1 million." They're essentially calling for former President Jacob Zuma and all of those who are alleged to be at the heart of state capture in the country to be arrested. I'm going to ask you to come back and be at the backdrop of your placard here. Essentially, just an introduction and why you deem it important for you to come and call for the Constitution of the Republic to be obeyed by someone who has not even filed responding affidavits to this court sitting that will be taking place virtually.
Hi, I'm Derek Holmes. I'm the CEO of Move 1 Million. As an organization, we believe there has to be consequence to actions. The highest court in this country is a constitutional court. No one in this country is above the law. And go through the due process. At least have the courtesy to turn up to the court and go through the process that's been provided by a very solid commission. And we are there to ensure that that process is adhered to by all members. Every single person needs to act and behave in the same way. No one is above the law in this country.
The former president feels as if the State Capture Commission of Inquiry is biased against him. Do you believe that those sentiments that he shares have some sort of credence, or he is just going forward with his Stalingrad method of not wanting to be allegedly be held accountable?
To use bias as an excuse to not go to the highest court of law in South Africa is not acceptable. It means that me or you or anyone else could use that same argument and not pitch up in court. Clearly there's a process that has to be followed in this country, and that's a legal process in the highest court with the strongest constitution in the world, and we're not adhering to it. It's unacceptable.
Do you think that he will obey if the Constitutional Court were to take a judgment that he be given an incarceration period of 2 years, as is the punitive measure that is being asked on an urgent basis by the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, that he'd obey that judgment, knowing that he failed to obey the previous one, compelling him to go to the State Capture Commission of Inquiry?
I'm not sure what decision past President Jacob Zuma will take. I'm not going to guess whether he'll obey it or not, but if it's handed down on him, then the law says that he has to obey it. Then that's a criminal offence not to obey it. And those are the issues that we're dealing with. You've got to take the consequence of your actions. It's gone through the legal process. He's got a chance to represent himself fully in the court. But he's not taking the time to go and adhere to the process, the due legal process of South Africa.
How will you enforce the judgment by the Constitutional Court if it's handed down?
How will who enforce?
How will you, as ordinary South Africans and as a Move 1 Million organization, try to enforce that judgment by the Concord?
We will, if the judgment is passed down, we will ensure that action is taken, that the appropriate action is taken by our members, all 550,000 of us, to ensure that it is adhered to.
Are you in for a trip to Nkandla to make sure that the police vans take him to jail if that judgment is passed?
We are not that radical. We will go through the normal process of our organisation, and if necessary, we will do what is required.
Thank you very much. Those are the various people that have gathered here and organizations protesting that the former president should be incarcerated. Others in support of him, like Colney House. There's a heavy police presence also here at the Constitutional Court. It's just that we'll try and show those visuals quickly before we cut, as we are running out of time. I've seen about 4 police vans. You'll see 1 police van passing by now. You'll see some police officers there at the back now. Back to you in studio, as there's heavy police presence here, but I know Jacob Zuma will be showing at the Constitutional Court as he hasn't filed responding affidavits.
Samkele Maseko there as we prepare to hear more about the outcomes of the Constitutional Court. We'll keep you posted on that process.